When we discussed various Jewish sects of the Second Temple period, you were asked to read excerpts from Josephus' writings, where he, among other things, describes Pharisees as famous for their outstanding skills and penchant for biblical interpretation. However, we have very little specific information about their ways of interpretation coming from the first century of the Common Era. What we can guess about their exegesis can be mostly gleaned from later evidence in rabbinic sources from early 3rd to 5th century. We may, however, suppose that at least in certain cases, those later offshoots reflect, albeit partially, some earlier traits of proto-rabbinic Pharisaic circles. Let me highlight here what seems to be a core feature of that land of Israel Pharisaic brand of biblical interpretation. The proto-rabbinic exegesis is distinguished by its inclination to learn from analogy and other peculiarities of language, grammar, spelling, and even graphic particularities of the Hebrew text of the scripture to learn additional meanings. These additional meanings may include additional prohibitions and instructions pertaining to observance of the Torah commandments. Sometimes this additional layer of suggested meaning addresses our intentions as distinguished from our external deeds, a tendency to be discerned later in view of similar moves in the Gospels. One may see it as going in parallel, but without evoking allegory, to what we have observed in Hellenistic thinking. In other cases, this additional layer of meaning could relate to the future fate of Israel, and thus to messianic themes. Alternatively, it could help discover in Scripture ideas which were dear to Pharisees but could not be easily discerned in the Holy Writ itself. Just to give one telling example, and there are plenty of them, of unearthing such a new idea, that of general resurrection in a minor textual peculiarity. This example may be found in an interpretation suggested for Exodus 20:12. It's part of the Ten Commandments, and it says, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives you." Based on the seemingly present tense form of gives, it was argued that, in fact, the verse does not speak of the land that has already been given to us in creation of the world, but about the land that is only in the process of being given, namely the land of our future resurrected existence. As for the scope of the Holy Writ, later rabbinic sources may indicate that even earlier, not only Torah and prophets, but also some other books, like Psalms, were deemed worthy of interpretation. It will be relevant when we come to discuss the scope of the Jewish scripture used by the early Jesus movement for backing its messianic claims.